Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those who want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the Spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that is almost too unbelievable to be real, but it is. A New Mexico Democrat judge resigns after ICE arrests alleged Tren de Aragua gang member in his home. Yeah. So, you know that whole thing about activist judges and how it's a problem? And, it actually is a problem. And you know what's interesting is I've, on several occasions, talked about how the left are pro-crime, they're pro-terrorist, they're anti-American. I mean, there's just a whole laundry list of things that some people say, oh, that's a stereotype. No, it's actually true. The left is pro-crime, pro-illegal immigration, pro-terrorism. To be honest, they're pro-pedophile. They are pro-sexualizing kids. They do not align with or believe in any of the moral principles upon which this nation was founded. And so some people go, oh, you talk about sending Hassan Piker to El Salvador and stuff. The way I see it is that these people are not acting in the best interest of this country or the American people. These people are acting in the best interest of themselves and some other thing. Because this isn't normal. A normal person doesn't just have an alleged Tren de Aragua member in his home. Especially a judge. You know, you think about a judge and you think about them being an arbiter of the law and an arbiter of truth. But these activist judges, these people are not in line with the law. These people are rogue. Now, this guy has resigned, thankfully. But, I mean, how long was this guy living here? I think, I think the sort of changes we need in this country are so sweeping and so vast that to get them done would expel all the political capital that a political party can muster, and so they're not going to do it. I think that there should be an investigation on all judges in the United States, both federal and statewide, state and federal judges. I think they should all be looked at. I think that there should be some mechanism to look at these people and what their organizations are and what their allegiances are, and if there's a conflict of interest, like with Trump. How is it that every judge that Trump got, with the exception of, like, Eileen Cannon, I think she was the only one, how is it that all these judges have daughters or family members that are somehow invested in some anti-Trump scandal or scam? They have money invested in him losing. Like, how is it possible that all of these corrupt judges can be allowed to just continue on with impunity? There needs to be an investigation. And the judges that are bad, they need to go away. They need to go away for a long time. I mean, if it were up to me, and it's not, I would have them charged with treason. These people are working against the best interests of the American people and the American government. It used to be that that's what treason was, that you were working for some foreign enemy or some foreign adversary. But I think we need to update the definition. Because it says, I will defend from this country enemies, both foreign and domestic. These are domestic enemies. How else could you possibly define it? There is an illegal criminal gang member. He's living in the house of a judge. Now, if you want to give the benefit of the doubt and say the judge didn't know, how could the judge not have known? Did he not vet somebody before he let him into his house? Like, what are we doing here? And it says he's an alleged member, but ICE is arresting this guy, and he has this sort of connection. If this were bunk, the judge would not have resigned. And the thing is, Democrats have put themselves in this position where they don't have any moral high ground. None. And they're the masters of emotional manipulation and these tactics of getting people to go along with things that are not in their best interest for the sake of, won't you think of this and this? The Democrats are literally defending terrorists and gang members now. That's where we're at. That is the current stage that we're in, if you want to measure the decline. They're actually actively housing illegal criminal gang members. So I think that it's important, if you want the system to be reformed, you have to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb at this point. And the reality is, unfortunately, the type of things that you would need to do to fix the problem that these people have caused, you're going to get a lot of pushback. You're going to get called unconstitutional. I think that a lot of these people should be charged with crimes. Absolutely. An example needs to be set. A harsh one. Because this sort of stuff should not be allowed to continue. We've got activist judges all the way up to the Supreme Court that are trying to make it more difficult to deport illegals, trying to make it more difficult to, enact the will of the American people. To be honest, I don't think that the Supreme Court should be making decisions on Article 2 powers of the executive branch. I mean, we're in a crazy place now where you've got the courts that are trying to push back against the duly elected president of the United States. I don't think that the Republicans have the votes or the will to impeach some of these people, but holy shit. You know what they could do? They could do what the Democrats were proposing. They could increase the court. That's another card that they haven't even talked about. From 9 to 13. And put in some conservatives. I'm not talking about Amy Coney Barrett, but putting on some real conservatives. Because the alternative to, we due process. The due process is, are you in this country illegally? Oh, you are? All right, you're out. Oh, you're a member of Tren de Aragua? You're a gang member? We have this documentation? Oh, okay, you're out. And we're going to throw you in jail in El Salvador. You're like, the problem that the Democrats have caused is not something that you can deal with in the usual way that you deal with problems. And that's in itself a problem. They've created a problem that's so big and so unwieldy that in order to help fix it, to help the American people, you're going to have to do things that are going to be wildly unpopular. We're not talking about internment camps here. We're not talking about making camps and taking things away. What we're talking about is there are people in the country illegally. The Biden administration and Democrats have allowed them in. We can't even get out the criminal gang members that we know are criminal gang members because the courts and the Democrats have pushed back against that. They're not with us on this. The Democrats are now aiding and abetting these terrorists against the American people. The media is complicit. I mean, look, you see how fast the media turned away from that story of that woman who lost her daughter? You see how quickly they turned away from that story? Because I don't care about Americans who were died and forced to endure some of those brutal conditions humanly imaginable. They don't care about that. That gets in the way. That's a distraction for them. Because these people are evil. These people are genuinely evil. They embody and promote and enforce the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. Always. And people wonder, why do you talk about them like that? Because these are not fellow citizens. These are people that have decided that America is bad and that we deserve this, and that American people, like that woman who was brutally bludgeoned, dragged off, and raped by this criminal illegal alien who, the Biden administration did nothing with, in Maryland, that she, they're not going to say she deserved it. But they're really not going to push too hard on it. They're really not going to talk about it because it's inconvenient for them. That's not their job. Their job is to push a narrative that is in line with the Democrat Party. And to be honest, I think a lot of these people in the media are criminals too. I absolutely think they're criminals. I think they're complicit in a whole bunch of scandals and hoaxes and a whole bunch of stuff. And apparently they've been getting money from the government to push certain stories. I mean, come on. Ridiculous. Send a couple of these people from the mainstream media to El Salvador. See how quickly it cleans up. It's just unreal. There's no accountability for anything. Yeah, this guy resigns. Why isn't he charged? Why isn't this guy charged with aiding and abetting an illegal? Like, this should be, and by the way, not just this person, but companies as well, businesses as well, should be absolutely charged and penalized if they have engaged in unfair business practices and hired illegals while their competition trying to play by the rules hasn't. That's crazy as well. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. These sort of stories come up and I will continue to cover them. I'm going to be a little bit shorter with this one because what else is there to say? I mean, a rogue activist judge decides how is this illegal? And the thing is, we live in a time where even if the judge didn't know anything, even if he were completely innocent, which I don't believe, by the way, I don't believe he's innocent. I mean, you don't just resign if oh my God, this guy's a gang member. No, you wouldn't just resign after that. It seems like a judge who's an activist who got caught. And I don't understand why. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.